Welcome to the Transum Podcast, a monthly roundup of the new features on the transum.org website, providing mathematical puzzles, games, learning activities, and the ever-popular mathematics lesson starter of the day. Here's your host, John Tranter.
A merry ho 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 and Yuletide greetings to Transum users around the world. This is the festive version of the monthly podcast, and it begins as usual with a puzzle, but this time it's a seasonal puzzle. Santa lives in a region called Korvatunturi, which is the Finnish part of Lapland. His house is built with thick walls and small windows to keep out the cold. This year has decided to make one of the windows twice its original area, but without increasing either its height or its width. How can that be done? So that's the puzzle, that's for you to think about, and the answer will be at the end of the podcast. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, so this is the perfect time to remind you of Transum's Christmas collection. It gets bigger every year and contains gems that just wouldn't seem right any other time of the year. The first door of the Maths Advent Calendar is now unlocked, and this year there is a new printable Christmas card. Enjoy the resources now and during the time left before the season comes to an end. The links to all the things I'm talking about in this podcast, including the Christmas collection, can be found in the newsletter. That's transum.org/newsletter. Subscriber Anne was surprised at how many different expressions containing the digits 1 to 4 can be made which equate to 12. So Anne suggested the idea to me and I came up with the 12 Ways of Christmas challenge. You don't have to do it all in one sitting, as the page will remember your attempts so that you can dip into it every time you have a spare 5 minutes. So I'm looking for the world record here. How many different ways can you make the total 12 using the digits 1 to 4? And the link again to that activity is in the newsletter. The Christmas lesson starter pages also contain ideas for mathematical Christmas presents. And a new suggestion I have for this year is Marcus de Sorte's Thinking Better, The Art of the Shortcut. I enjoyed listening to him talk about the book on a recent podcast, during which he talked about Gauss's shortcut. Here's how he explained it.
This is a little fairy tale that we all get told as mathematicians.
That's Marcus de Sautoy, who is a mathematician at Oxford University in England. As for this fairy tale,
I don't know whether it's true or not, but who cares?
The story takes us back to Germany in the late 18th century and a schoolboy named Carl Friedrich Gauss.
The young Gauss, sitting 8-9 years old in his class, the teacher wants to get a little bit of rest, decides to set them a problem that it'll take them ages to actually do.
Young Carl Friedrich Gauss would become one of the most remarkable mathematicians in history. There are more than 100 theorems, formulas, models, and other math terms named after him, but that was later. At the time of our story, he's just a very bright young student, and the teacher gives the class this problem to solve. As de Sautoy said, it's not a particularly interesting problem. The teacher says, you've got to add up the numbers
from 1 to 100. And most of the class set off and they go 1 plus 2, that's 3, plus 3, 6. Carl Friedrich Gauss immediately writes down a number on his chalkboard, slams it down on the desk and says, there it is. And the teacher thinks he's being impudent, but looks down, sees, but that's the correct answer. How did you get that so quickly?
So, if you don't know Gauss's shortcut, have a look at the starter called Adam. That's Ad-em, or short for add them, not Adam as in the first man. But anyway, have a look at that starter. The link is in the newsletter. And there's a big clue there as to how Gauss managed to find the answer so quickly.
You can find Transum Mathematics at www.transum.org.
On the curriculum page, you can now find schemes of learning for years 12 and 13 for the IB course, standard level. Thanks to my old school for letting me use their sequencing. Click on the blocks to see all the resources. A new level 2 has been added to the tree diagrams exercise, along with new exam style questions. Of course, you have to be signed in as a Transom subscriber to see the worked solutions to the exam style questions. Activity number 1000. Right, the details of each activity on Transom are stored in database tables, and each item is given a unique identification number. In the starters table, these numbers range from 1 to 366, as you'd imagine. But there's a much bigger table to store the details of all the investigations, exercises, and puzzles. And I have just created the 1000th record in that table. The 1000th activity is called Percentage Switch, which has 3 levels of difficulty and makes a nice challenge for pupils learning about percentage change. This month's puzzle that I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast is basically adapted from one asked by Alex Bellos, which he in turn took from Angelo Lewis's 1893 classic book Puzzles Old and New, and it was in the Guardian online newspaper. So here is the solution that was provided. The window was diamond-shaped, and by enlarging it to a square, its area is exactly doubled without increasing either its height or its width. A window shaped as an isosceles or right-angled triangle will equally answer the conditions of this puzzle. Right, so first of all, they have obviously adopted the definition that a diamond is a tilted square rather than a more general rhombus shape. But that doesn't affect the answer, and we understand exactly. How clever. Very nice. So, finally, a very happy Christmas to you and those close to you. Stay safe, healthy, and happy, and look forward to a mathematically exciting 2022. Merry Christmas!
Thank you for downloading and listening to the Transom podcast. You can find the website at www.transom.org, where you're welcome to use all of the activities absolutely free, or jump in with both feet and become a Transom subscriber.